I'm very sorry. I apologize for the terrible sounding audio. I'm using my phone. I'm just getting over a horrible summer cold that's like 10 times worse than COVID, in my opinion. God, this case has made me so paranoid. I say in my opinion about literally everything now at work. My coworkers are like, okay, you don't have to say that. But yeah, it's raining, I'm driving, my car is loud. But I'm gonna say it now, because if I say it later, I'm gonna be too tired. I'm not gonna be able to say it like this. I'm gonna be too tired. I'm gonna have to put the kids to bed. I don't want to be doing this while I have kids running around, because then I'd be defeating the whole purpose of this video. Pardon me. Okay. So my annoyance today just comes from watching a certain creator who I like. I was watching one of her live chats from the previous week or so, catching up, and I was noticing just how people were being shut down in this person's chat by some of the mods, not all, which was confusing to me, because this creator is sort of uniquely, it was a very difficult thing to do, attempts to toe the line between whatever sides of Watts Island, as if that's a real thing. But basically, I was watching a chat where people brought up some, in my opinion, very evident, very obvious problems about Shanann's posts that she posted herself on social media. And I was seeing people saying, mods, where are you? I don't feel comfortable with some of the things in chat. So that pissed me off immediately, because it worked. These people were shut down eventually, even though it was a totally civil, normal conversation. Why does everyone want to, Justin Lee said it, why does everyone want to live in an echo chamber? Isn't that boring? Also, that's how things like QAnon get started, because everybody's just talking to each other and nobody's disagreeing with you. So you eventually end up creating your own reality and going crazy and acting out on that reality. To be a civilized, to be an advanced civilization, we need to learn to discuss things and to listen to each other and not to attack each other. Even if we really disagree with someone, we should be able to have a conversation. Like, I was in speech and debate in high school. How does that exist without people doxing each other and going to each other's houses and threatening them? How were people ever allowed to have differing opinions and also be able to be friends? It's almost like watching politics. And I've always hated politics for this reason. But I hate that it is now encroaching on something that I really enjoy, which is true crime. But it's gone beyond that to me at this point with this case. Since I did not have the luxury of seeing a lot of Shanann's posts when they were still on Facebook, before they were scrubbed by whoever accesses that account still 4 years later. But lately I've been seeing that there are a lot of people who do have access. A lot of people that saved those posts very intelligently. And with very good reason. Even before the tragedy occurred, they might have saved some of these posts. And if I hear one more person one more time say, oh, you're slandering the dead, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Obviously, there's no such thing as slandering a dead person. We know that. It's nonsense. But why don't you do something good with your life? Like, why aren't you worried about the actual victims in this case, which are Bella and Cece Watts? Yes, Watts is their last name. It's disgusting. From what I have seen, from Shanann's own posts, I believe that those children were being abused. I'm not sure of the extent of it. I can't definitively say anything about this. I'm not a medical practitioner. I wasn't in her life every day, but you get pretty damn close to seeing her everyday life through those videos. And any human being, regardless of if you have children or not, should have felt concern. And I'm not saying from seeing one video you can say, oh, this is child abuse. No, that's the point. That's why we look at all of them. It's context. We're seeing these, every video, we're seeing this just humiliation going on towards children and her husband, which honestly, I don't really give a shit about at this point. He's the least of my troubles in this case. Sometimes I forget he even exists. I'm sure a lot of people feel like that. Man. And I guarantee you he knows what's going on. I guarantee you there's a bunch of lame people from YouTube writing to him about all this. So he drives me crazy. Don't even get me started. I don't know. He just annoys me. I'm sorry. I know he can't like do anything about it really, but it's annoying. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. I'm totally ranting right now. This is what happens when I get sick. And I've been off the island for like over a week. But oh my God. These people getting so angry about people talking in a private live chat. Not a private live chat, but a live chat with people who've been talking about the same case and the same issues without harming anyone else for almost 4 years. When these people who started these chats were attacked before they knew about the case. Yes, I'm talking about Miss Mensa and her followers. I think it is bullshit. I don't understand how people are still giving into this narrative. I only learned about this case in August of 2021. That's right. Not even a year ago. And yes, it took a lot of my daily life to absorb all the bullshit and to go back and forth and to have different opinions. And no, I never commented on anything. I'd be like, ooh, NK must be guilty. This is insane. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Or me and my friend would be like, oh shit. No way she's not involved. Haha. But are we commenting publicly about that? No. Because NK, guess what, is a living person. And it blows my mind that even these creators who want to toe the line and try to be fair-minded, they will talk some real smack about NK with zero justification. Yes, she technically is called a mistress, quote unquote, because he was married at the time, but we don't know any of those details. In my opinion, I think that marriage had been over for almost a year at that point. Believe me, I've been there. I've been there. And I also think that Chris Watts probably was like, he didn't know how to really get out of his marriage, which again, really lame. He couldn't quite force the issue. The issue was happening. It was happening. In his mind, he was like, okay, this is what's happening. They had talked, I think, in my opinion. They had discussed this, but it wasn't really getting through. But again, that's just my opinion, okay? I'm just saying this in defense of NK, because I don't think she did anything wrong. In my opinion, she seems like the only person in this entire case who had a life, who actually had interests, who was a capable like, young woman who had so much going for her, especially at that time in her life. She wasn't, yeah, she Googled a wedding dress. That was for something else. I guarantee you that woman, the last thing on her mind was marrying that man at that time. She never even talked about living together. She was trying to help him find an apartment for him and his 2 girls. All of this lines up. How is she a liar? And how is it, my point here, how is it that we are not allowed to talk about very evident, obvious, publicly post by Shanann herself, child abuse, or at the very, very least, neglect? Not allowed. Not allowed to talk about that, even though she's not living, and it's not going to affect her. CPS ain't going to come and take any kids away, unfortunately, in my opinion. But we're allowed to run around and post pictures of random women and say that they're NK. We're allowed to talk about her being in cults, which is bullshit, just because she went to Peru one time and has a picture of herself holding a really cool looking rock. Because guess what? She was a geologist. And no, if you're wondering, am I friends with NK? I'm not. But you know what? I wish I was. She seems pretty cool, at least compared to everybody else in this story. But my point here is, why are we allowed to trash this living person and essentially stalk her? Can you imagine what would have happened if she had not changed her name? Pretty scary, right? Pretty scary. Especially when I see the look in some of these creators' eyes. Man, some of that anger towards her is just gives me a lot of pause. And yeah, I am speaking as someone who honestly considered the fact that she was implicated, that she was guilty in some way during the first month that I learned about this case, because that, ladies and gentlemen, is what the YouTube algorithm showed me first when it came to this case. It was a very, very, it was a rabbit hole that seemed almost like orchestrated. That's why I'm still thinking about this case all the time. Because why? Why was I led? It's like I was handheld through a wormhole. I didn't go to it organically. It was like, ooh, I watched this, and then the next video it shows me is this. A whole deep dive into NK and her nefarious bullshit. NK was so smart to erase everything she ever did on the internet. I don't know if she used a Facebook. I doubt it. But guess what? All the information that we are gleaning about her at this point in time is based on a tiny amount of information that was released from her phone and from Chris Watt's phone by law enforcement, and what came out of her mouth, which is, I'm sure, not everything that came out of her mouth. We received this information from the Denver Post, which did, I'm sure, come through that PR firm, which makes sense. If she was guilty, she would have hired a lawyer, as Lana says. Duh. Why would you be hiring a PR firm if you were guilty? Anyways. I'm sorry, it drives me crazy when I hear about this. I think it's a distraction. I think the NK thing is a distraction. And I know there's a lot of people out there who have been cheated on, but don't take it out on this person who's alive, who you know nothing about, who's trying desperately to move on with her life. How is that not slander? How is that not like a crime or endangerment? I damn well hope her father's some sort of high up Mason. Can you imagine if he wasn't? I'm not saying he was. I don't know if he was, but I would be like, wow, okay, Dad, help me out here before the pitchforks come. Because my God, you gotta, everybody's looking at her. Nobody's looking at the actual, you want to talk about facts? The facts of the case are what Shanann Watts posted all over Facebook. And they give us the facts. They give us the context. With NK, what context do we have? We don't even know. Everyone's like, oh, why is she not a suspect? Why is he talking to her like that so nicely in the interrogation if it's an interrogation? Guess what? Maybe she wasn't a suspect. Maybe they completely ruled her out from day one when she came in voluntarily. Ever think about that, anybody? Sorry, I'm being a real smartass. I think it's about time I wrap this up because I'm getting to my destination. But thank you for allowing me this rant session. I would like to eventually have some small live chats with other open-minded people who don't shut others down and who don't spread hate about others. But I know that's going to be kind of hard to swing, you know? People love slinging hate. I just had to get that off my chest. And everybody, please, for God's sake, if you have Facebook friends, if you have any friends, just look how they treat their children. That's the only hope for a lot of children. I'm not saying everybody's running around abusing or neglecting their children, but it's our obligation to consider these things. When we see something weird, we are obligated to look at it a little closer. So in my opinion, why are we not allowed to do that in a true crime case? Especially for people who are no longer living. If it could help living people. That's what drives me nuts. This discussion could help children in the future and families. I'm not trying to be aggressive here. I just needed to get my point across. And, you know, guess I took too much Benadryl and Tylenol. So, sorry. Until next time, bye-bye.